Welcome you all to my lecture series on energy science and engineering. Now we will switch to our next unit, and in this lecture series we'll cover the topic energy storage technologies. If we are talking about in the context of non-conventional energy sources, either we have studied about solar, wind, ocean or geothermal, the part of energy storage is significant for all of this. And that's why in this lecture video, we'll study about the relevance and the purpose of the energy storage. And we will also cover the most commonly used devices like battery for this energy storage application. So here we begin with these learning objectives. Firstly, we will discuss briefly about the concept of energy storage and its significance in the context of these non-conventional energy sources. We will study about the most commonly used energy device, that is battery, in our second objective, about its working principle, major components and their functions. We will get some idea regarding the type of batteries in our third objective, and in the fourth we will go through the basic concept of lithium ion batteries, which is dominantly used nowadays, and in the last we also highlight some other devices like fuel cells and its comparison with the batteries. Here in this slide we will discuss in detail why these energy storage technologies are so much important to us, especially when we are talking about the non-conventional energy sources. To understand this in a better way, let us take few examples. Like in the case of solar energy, we can only access the power from the sun in the day only. We need to store some amount of energy so that we can use it in the night also. Sometimes passing clouds or the rain could also make a difference in the power output, and hence we require these type of technologies to maintain the consistency in power generation. There is one more case in which we require these energy storage technologies. Sometimes energy sources are delivering much higher power and we are demanding much lower power. Then what is it going to do with that excess power? All that is getting wasted if we are not using it. So we need something in the middle that keep collecting this energy and provide it to us whenever we require it. In simple words, energy storage are important to provide the power based on our utility pattern. These energy storage technologies are responsible for making the availability of power every time whenever we require it. And the most commonly used energy storage technology is battery, and we will discuss about it in the further slides. In this slide, we will mainly discuss about the concept of battery. So battery is simply an energy storage device. It is also called as electrochemical device because the electrochemical reactions are taking place inside the battery. It mainly consists of two electrodes. The one electrode referred to as anode and the other electrode referred to as cathode. There is one electrochemical reaction which is taking place at the interface of the anode and the electrolyte, and the other reaction which is taking place at the cathode and the electrolyte interface. And these two reactions are responsible for the flow of charge using two different pathways. The one pathway is the electrolyte, where the ions are only allowed to pass, and the other is the external circuit in which the movement of electrons are there, and hence it results in providing the current to the load. Either it is bulb or any other electric device. As we have studied that there are two mainly electrodes. The one is anode, where the oxidation or the loss of electrons happen, and the other is the cathode where the reduction or the gain of electrons are taking place. One thing is to be noted that the primary component of any battery is the cell. Cell is a single electrochemical unit, while the battery is a collection of these cells either arranged in series or in parallel. In any kind of a battery, the selection of anode and cathode is based on this electrochemical series. In this table or series, the electrode potential are arranged. And now what is electrode potential? The tendency of any metal to lose or gain the electrons when it is in contact with the solution of its own ions. If we are taking that potential under the standard conditions, we called it as standard electrode potential. Now what is standard conditions? When we are taking all these potential values under 1 molar ion of concentration and the temperature at 298 Kelvin. The standard electrode potential of each electrode can be evaluated by taking the hydrogen electrode in the other half cell and used it as a reference electrode for comparing the values of these electrode potentials. It has been arbitrarily set at 0, and with respect to the hydrogen electrode, whatever is above or having a higher value behaves like cathode with a strong tendency to accept the electron, and the materials below this considered as anode with a strong tendency to lose the electrons. In this slide, we broadly classify the batteries into two types. The first one is the primary batteries, which are also called as single use time batteries and cannot be recharged. These types of battery you can see in the remote of your television or in the watches also. The other type of a battery are called as secondary batteries, and these are rechargeable batteries. You can see these types of batteries in the mobile phones, in the cars and many other devices. The most commonly used batteries which I have mentioned here, the lead acid battery, nickel based batteries, lithium ion batteries which are prominently used nowadays, and we will discuss about it in the next slides, and the lithium polymer batteries also. So as we have all studied that cell is the primary unit of a battery. So we need to understand the concept or the characteristics at the cell level. So first of all, we start with the term capacity. The charge stored in all the cells is called as battery capacity. It can be calculated in ampere hour, or in simple words we can say it basically determines how much energy can be extracted from a battery under specific conditions. The second one is the energy density, and it is the measure of the amount of energy stored in a given mass or volume. It is measured in watt hour or kilowatt hour. The other is the power or the power density we can say, and it is the measure of the amount of energy output per unit mass or volume. The unit of power density is watt or kilowatt. We can also understand it in a way that a battery with a higher power density can release the energy quickly as well as charge itself very quickly. In simple words, we can say that if we talking about the energy stored in a given mass, it is called as energy density, and if we are talking about the energy output per unit mass or volume, we call it as power density. In simple words, we can also relate two of these terms as power is equal to energy by time. Here in this slide, we will mainly discuss about the concept of lithium ion batteries, as these are dominantly used in various applications and recently in EVs also. So the working principle of these types of batteries are based on the electrochemical potential, which leads to the tendency of any material to lose the electrons. Lithium has the highest tendency to lose the electrons as it has one electron in its outer shell, which makes it very reactive in its pure form. The concept of intercalation and deintercalation of lithium ions are mainly responsible for charging and discharging of these types of batteries. So we need to first understand what is intercalation and deintercalation. So when a voltage is provided to the terminals of the battery, the lithium metal ions gets detached from the lithium metal oxide. Here you can see in the figure also the lithium metal oxide here is lithium cobalt oxide. So when the lithium ions gets detached from the lithium cobalt oxide and loses electrons, these electrons are moving through the external circuit as they are not allowed to pass through the electrolyte. On the other side, lithium ions are moving through the electrolyte and are adjusted themselves into the space of carbon layers. And this process is called as intercalation of lithium ions. The battery here is considered as full charge when all the lithium ions are accommodated in the carbon structure. But this is an unstable state of lithium. So as we remove the power and load is connected across the two electrodes, the lithium ions are insisted to go to its original state, which is lithium metal oxide. Hence, the lithium ions move through the electrolyte, forming lithium metal oxide again, and electrons passes through the load. And this process is called as deintercalation of lithium ions. And in this way, the electric current is provided to the load and simultaneously the battery is discharging. Now in this slide, we will discuss about one more device called fuel cells, and we will understand also how these fuel cells are different from the batteries. So as we have studied in the previous slides about the energy storage device like batteries, in which chemicals are stored within the device. But in the case of energy conversion device, it converts the chemical energy of fuel into the electricity, or we can say in this case the chemicals are stored external to the device, and hence these are considered more flexible comparatively to the batteries, because in this you are just supplying the chemicals from outside and fuel source can be resupplied without interrupting the power. The one more thing is also important to be noted here, that for the same brand and same kind of chemistry, the thinner battery will last lesser time and the thicker battery will last longer time if you use it to power the same device. But this size concept does not work in the case of fuel cells. In the case of fuel cells, when it gets close to empty, you just simply refill it, or you have to just supply the fuel into it and you can keep going. So that is the convenience of an energy conversion device. Thank you so much for watching this video.